So now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to change the color of the navigation bar. If you look at this navigation bar closely, you'll find that the navigation bar is not actually white. It's gray. It's a very light gray color, and I want the navigation bar to be white. To do this, we can quickly use a bootstrap class here. Remember here, instead of bg light, you can see bg white, and this is gonna whiten the navigation bar quickly. As you can see, the navigation bar is now white. Now it's white. And what I'm gonna do next is that I'm gonna add here a shadow to the navigation bar so that we can recognize the navigation bar from the page itself when scrolling. And also it's gonna give a better look, and it's gonna give the website a great look when we add this. So let me add this shadow. So to add this shadow, we can here say, first let me show you the navigation bar. This is the navigation bar. So the navigation bar has a class called navbar. So we can use this navbar here in CSS. We can say .navbar. We actually have already, remember, if you scroll up, you'll find that we already have this navigation bar right here. We have this navbar, so we can add the code here. So for this navigation bar, we can add box shadow. This is going to add a shadow to the navigation bar. So the shadow is going to be from top, it's going to be 0, and from bottom I'm going to say 5px and 10px. 5 and 10 px. So this is for the x-axis, it's going to be 0, so right and left. For y-axis, which is the top, which is the bottom, it's going to be 5, and for the z-axis, it's going to be 10. And the color for the shadow is going to be this color, RGBA. So the color that I'm going to be using is a gray color, 0, 0, 0, and 0.1. So this is a very dark gray. It's close to black actually. Let me save and show you what's gonna look like. So as you can see now, there is here a shadow. As you can see, there is a shadow. There is a shadow. You can see the difference now. You can distinguish between the borders of the navigation bar and the page itself. So it's clear that the navigation bar, the borders of the navigation bar are these, and the page is kind of behind the navigation bar. So this now looks outstanding. So now what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna add this image to the website. So here I'm gonna add the payment image to the images, and let me now refresh, and as you can see, it's going to be displayed here. However, we need to resize this because we want this to be displayed to be very small. We don't want it to be like this. So to do this, remember this image exists inside the, if you scroll to the footer, you'll find that the image is inside the copyright. So I'm going to say copyright here, footer copyright, footer image, footer dot copyright image. So the image is going to be, I'm going to give it a width and height. So the width is going to be, let's display only 20% of that image for the width. Let me now save and refresh, and it's going to be very small. As you can see, this is what I want. However, I think 30% or 40% would be better. Let's say 30%. So 30% would be like this. I think 30% is going to be great. So this is the image for the payment. I think now it looks amazing. Now what we need to do is that we need to work on the rest of the images. So we need first to work on the logo, and also we need to work on the banner. So we need to add another image. So let me add these, and also in the footer we need to add here the logo and a few images here. So I have here a folder for these images. I have these images. First I have this banner. I'm gonna drag this banner and drop it here onto the images. And I also have the logo. I have this logo. Let me drag this logo and drop it onto the images. And let's now add these. So this is the logo that I'm going to be using. So now what I'm going to do is that here in the style.css, first of all, for the banner, I'm going to change the banner from back to banner. I'm going to be displaying this image. I'm going to be displaying this image instead of the back image. I'm going to say here banner.jpg. Now let me refresh and show you how it's going to look like. So first of all, because I have added the logo has been displayed, but I'm going to work on the logo shortly. For the banner, as you can see, this is the banner will be displayed here, but we need to change the color here because it's not, I don't think the color looks good with this banner. So I'm going to change the banner here, the banner text to white. So instead of saying color, remember we have this banner color coral, I'm going to change it to white. So I think white would look much better. So if I say white, it's going to look better. Also, the above the this text, we need to change this text. So if I go back to the index, we have the banner. Let me show you this. We have this banner. So we have this mid-season sale. So we need to change the H4. Therefore, I'm going to say here banner, and then H4, and then I'm going to say color, and the color is going to be white. Let me now show you this. So the color is going to be white, and now it looks better. Now let's work on the logo. The logo now is being displayed here, and also in the footer we need to display it here. But it's too big, therefore we need to add a class to resize this this logo. So I'm going to head on over to CSS, and then in CSS I'm going to create a class here. I'm going to create a class, but before I create the class, let's add that class to the index. So in the index here, in the navigation bar, I'm going to here say image, I'm going to say class, and I'm going to give this image a class called logo. And also in the footer, if you scroll to the footer, you'll find that we have this image. We have the image right here, this image. So for actually not this image, this is for the payment, so it must be this one. It must be this one, so this one, logo. We need also to give this image the same class, which is the logo. I'm going to say logo. So let's work on this logo class. Here in the style, I'm going to create I'm going to say logo. I'm going to say here dot logo, and for the logo we need to resize the image. So I'm going to give it a width of 40 px and height also 40 px. Let me save and let me head on over to the browser and refresh. And now, as you can see, the logo is going to be much smaller. Also, in the footer, we have a problem. In the footer, we have here to say assets, images, not just images. Assets, images, logo.jpg. Now, if I refresh, the logo will be displayed here as well. Here, this navigation bar, if you find that this nav bar is shifted to the right, is too much shifted to the right, you can decrease the margin. So at the top, remember I have here said margin left 60. You can decrease this if you want to shift this navigation buttons to the middle. So if you say here, for example, if you say 40%, the navigation buttons, these buttons will be shifted to the middle. So you can control this for some reason if you want your design to be like this. But I liked the buttons to be displayed on the right side. Another thing that I'm going to do is that I'm going to display the brand name here. So if you want to display a brand name, you can here say below the image in the navigation bar below the image, you can here say h2 for example, and then you can say you can give it first a class brand, and then here let's type the brand name. So for example, I'm gonna say here orange, and then let's work on the class, on the brand class. I'm gonna say here dot nav bar, and then dot brand, and then I'm gonna change the color first. I'm gonna say color coral, and next I'm gonna say margin. I'm gonna give it a margin. So the margin is gonna be 3px top and bottom, and 5px right and left. Finally, I'm gonna change the font size. So the font size would be 1.5 rem. Let me save and let me head on over to the browser and show you the difference now. So this is the brand name. As you can see here, it says orange. Of course, this is just a brand name that I came up with right now, but you need to type a brand name, your brand name. As I told you here, the problem is that the navigation bar now, because we have here the brand name and the logo, the navigation buttons has been shifted to the right, and we don't want that. Therefore, I'm going to decrease here, I'm going to decrease the margin left to say 50%. So if I decrease this, now it will be shifted slightly to the right. So I want it to be like this, or at least, or I can increase it a little. So for example, 55 I think would be perfect. So 55 is perfect. Now it's perfect. Finally, we need to work on the images. At the bottom here, we have 5 images. So for these images, you can add new images, or you can use some of the images that we already have. So I'm going to be using some of the images that we already have. For example, I'm going to say here featured 1, featured 2, and featured 3, and featured 4. And finally here, let's say here we have I think clothes 1. Let me save and let me refresh and show you now that these images will be displayed here. As you can see, these are the images that will be displayed here. So now our website, our main page is complete in terms of the images and also in terms of the design. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to create a new page, which is the shop page. So the shop page is going to contain all products that we have. So the shop page is going to have a navigation bar, the same navigation bar of course, and also it's going to have the footer. But the content is going to be different. So the content is going to be all the products that we have in our e-commerce shop. So first of all, here I'm going to create a new file. Make sure that you are in this area. And then I'm going to create a new file called shop.html. And since the code is going to be similar, I'm going to copy some code that we already created in the index, from the index. So I'm going to head over to the index, and from the index, first I'm going to copy this part, the body, from the beginning all the way to the opening tag of the body. And then I'm going to paste it in the shop. And here in the shop, I'm going to change the title. I'm going to say here, shop. Here I'm going to say shop. And here I'm going to say in the index, I'm going to say instead of document, I'm going to say home. The next thing that I'm going to do is that I'm going to copy the lower part, which is the script and the closing tag of the body and the closing tag of the HTML. So I'm going to copy these three, and then I'm going to paste them in the shop. So in the shop here, I'm going to give myself some space, and then I'm going to paste these three. So now this is the shop page. Let me save and let me open the shop page. So in the browser, I'm gonna go instead of index, I'm gonna say here shop.html, and as you can see, the content is empty. So we need to add here the navigation bar. So I'm gonna head on over back to the index, and then in the index, I'm gonna copy the navigation bar. I'm gonna close this navigation bar, and then I'm gonna copy the navigation bar, and then I'm gonna paste it in the shop. So I'm gonna paste it here. And then I'm going to save, and I'm going to test this. Let me refresh. And as you can see, now we have a navigation bar in the shop.html. We have this navigation bar. Let's also add the footer. So I'm going to again head on over back to the index. And from the index, I'm going to go to the footer. Remember, this is the footer. So I'm going to close the footer. And then I'm going to copy the footer code. And then I'm going to paste it here below the navigation bar. I'm going to paste it here. And then I'm going to save. Let me close this. Let me close it. And let me also close the navigation bar one more time. So we have here the nav bar, and we have the footer. Let me now click on File and then Save All. And let me here refresh. So the shop now will have the following. It will have the navigation bar and it will have the footer. However, we want to add content. So the content is going to be products. So remember, if you go back to the home page, you'll find that we have here products. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to display all of the products that we have. So instead of displaying 4 products, I'm going to display so many products, almost all of the products that we have. Therefore, I'm going to copy the code from the index. Remember, if you go to the index one more time, you'll find that we have the featured section, which is this. I'm going to copy it, and then I'm going to paste it between the navigation bar and the footer. I'm going to paste it here. And now if I save and head on over to the browser and refresh, and let me go now to the shop. I'm going to go to the shop.html. So now in the shop.html, you'll find that we have navigation bar, and we have 4 products, and we have the footer. And we don't want to display only four products. Instead, we want to display all of the products. So how can we do this? How would we do this? To do this, we can copy. Remember, we can copy these products in the shop here. We have this row, and inside this row we have these products. So you can copy these products from here all the way to this, and then you can paste that once, twice, and 3 times. Now if you save and refresh, you'll find that we will have now so many products. As you can see, we will have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So we have 16 products, and we can add as many products as we want. But we need to work first on the design. So as you can see here, we have a problem with the design. The design, the area here, the starting area of the products is behind the navigation bar. So we need to push this in order to be displayed below the navigation bar, not behind the navigation bar. And to do this, we can here increase the margin. So here I'm going to remove the I'm going to add here, instead of margin, instead of padding bottom, I'm going to say padding Y. If I say here padding Y, this is going to fix this problem. Let me here. As you can see, if you scroll, you'll find that the navigation, the text will be displayed below the navigation bar. Another thing that I want to do is that I want to display this text on the left side instead of the middle. And to do this, we can here remove this MX auto. I'm going to remove this auto, and I'm going to remove also the here we are, I think we are good here. There's no problem. Let me refresh. And this will be displayed on the left, but we need to add classes to display these on the left side, so here we can remove this text center. If you remove this text center, the text is going to be displayed on the left side. So the text is going to be displayed, as you can see, on the left side. Another thing that I want to do is that here, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to change the images. So we have here featured 1, featured 2, featured 3, and then featured 4. Let's use other images. So we have so many images. Let me here say clothes 1, and then clothes 2, and then clothes 3, and then clothes 4. And I have other images as well. I'm going to add more images because I want our website to have so many different varieties. So I'm going to here open the assets and then the images, and then I'm going to drag and drop these images. So I have this image, and I have this, and I have this, and finally I have this. So we have 4 more images. We have featured 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'm going to add these to, I'm going to display these in the shop. So in the shop, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to say here, I'm going to say, remember we have here, instead of featured 1, I'm going to say here featured 5, and featured 6, and featured 7, and then featured 8. And if I save and head on over back to the browser and refresh, you'll find that we will have different images now. As you can see, we have here 4 more images. And we have a variety of images, which now is better. We can also change the images in the third row. So in the third row, you can here say, you can say watch 4, and then watch 3, and then watch 2, and finally watch 1. Now you will find that we will have unique images. So all images are different, except for this image. I think again is too big. Therefore, I'm going to teach you a way to make sure that all images have the same exact size. So to do this, I'm gonna here in the shop here, I'm gonna create a style tag because I don't want to change the main design. So only in the shop I'm gonna add a few different things. Therefore, we don't need to create another style sheet file. We just can add the few changes here in a tag called style. So here in this style, remember the products, these products, let me close this. These products are inside the product class. So we can access them using the product. And we need to edit the image size. So we can say product image. So I'm going to say here in this style, I'm going to say dot product and then image. And then I'm going to change the width and height. The width is always going to be 100%. However, the height is going to be auto, and the box sizing is going to be border box, and finally the object fit is going to be cover. That way all images will have the same exact size. Let me show you now that all of these images will have the same exact size. So as you can see now, all images have the same exact size. But again, the problem is that some images might originally be small, such as this one is originally small. So this is the only problem that we will have. So my recommendation is to use images that are already big in order to avoid this problem. Also, the resolution might be a little low for some images that are originally small. So you need to take these into account, but I think our website is perfect. Finally, I'm going to add links to the shop and to the homepage, because if I click on home, nothing is going to happen, and if I click on shop, nothing is going to happen. So in the navigation bar in the shop.html, in the navigation bar, I'm going to say here, for the home, I'm going to say index.html, and for the shop I'm going to say shop.html. Similarly, for the index here, I'm going to say in the navigation bar, I'm going to say home index.html, and for the shop I'm going to say shop.html. Now let me save everything, save all, and let me refresh. So now if I click on shop, it is just going to refresh the page. If you click on home, it's going to take you to the home page, and from the home page, if you click on home, it's just going to reload the page, and if you click on shop, it's going to take you to the shop page. So now we have the links also activated. So now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to add pagination to this page. So here I'm going to add pagination where there will be here a bar that displays the number of pages we have, where each page will contain a few products, will contain like 16 or more products. So let me show you how you can do that. First of all, in the shop.html, at the bottom, at the end, above the dev, above this dev, and below the last product, which is this product, the last product, below the last product here, I'm gonna use Bootstrap to create that pagination. So I'm gonna say here nav, and then I'm gonna give this nav first area label. I'm gonna say area label page navigation example. And then inside that nav bar, inside that nav, we want to use UL, unordered list, and convert this unordered list into a pagination bar. So in order to do that, we need to use a Bootstrap class called pagination. I'm going to say class and then pagination. And then I'm going to give this pagination margin top 5. And inside it, I'm going to display the number of links that we want. So I'm going to say li, and for the first li, I'm going to give it a class. I'm going to say class, and that class is going to be page item. And inside it, we want links. So I'm going to create here a link. And for this link, we want to give it again a class. So I'm going to say class, and that class would be page link. Page link. And then I'm going to say here href. And for the first link, I'm going to say previous. For the first link here, I'm going to say previous. Here, previous. And then I'm going to copy this link and paste it 5 times. I'm going to paste it here, and here, and here, and here. And then the second one is going to be 1. The second one is going to be here, 1. And then the third one is going to be 2. And then 3. And the last one is going to say next. Next. Let me now save, and let's head on over to the browser to test. So in the browser, if I refresh, as you can see, we will have this pagination bar that's being displayed here at the bottom of the page, which looks amazing. And notice that it's important to add it above the section and above the dev, inside the just below the last product. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to add a hover effect to the navigation, to the pagination bar. So here in the, remember the pagination has a class called, here, this is the pagination. So the pagination has a class called pagination, and inside it we have li and a tag. So what I'm going to do is that at the top we have the style. So inside the style, I'm going to say here dot pagination, and then a tag. So for the a tag, I'm going to change the color. So the color is going to be coral, but I'm going to change the pagination. I'm going to add a pagination effect. I'm going to say pagination li hover. So if I hover over the li, I'm going to change the a tag. So the a tag is going to have a color, a white color. However, the background color now is going to be coral, in case I hover over it. So let me show you how it's going to look like. Now if I test, as you can see, the color is going to be orange, and if I hover over one of these buttons, it will be displayed like this. Another thing that I'm going to do is that I'm going to change the design here a little. So for this feature, I'm going to remove the container fluid. I'm going to say just container. If I say just container, there will be more space from the right and the left. Let me save and let me show you the difference now. If I refresh, as you can see, there will be more space from the right and left. Also, we want to change the text here. So instead of saying here our featured, I'm going to say our products. Just our products. And here it should say our products. So I think now the page is complete and it looks amazing. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to work on the single product page. So if you click on one of these products, nothing is going to happen. And of course we don't want that. We want to display, if user clicks on a product, we want to display the product in a single page and display information about that product and how to add that product to the cart and so many different things about that specific product that the user is interested in. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to open my project, and then I'm going to create a new file. Here I'm going to create a new file. I'm going to click on this icon, and then I'm going to create a new file called single product _product.html. And since the single product.html will have the footer and header, it will have the navbar and the footer. We need to copy the footer and the navbar from the index or from the shop. Let's copy them from the index. So I'm going to open up the index, and in the index here, I'm going to start copying from the beginning here all the way to the body, first to the body, and then I'm going to paste it in the single product.html. Then we need to copy the lower part, which is these 3 lines. I'm going to copy these 3 lines, and then I'm going to paste them here. I'm going to paste them here. Okay, you need to give yourself some space here and then paste that code here. Now we need to display the navigation bar. So I'm going to again head on over back to the index, and then I'm going to scroll up. So I'm going to scroll up, and then I'm going to close this navigation bar, and then I'm going to copy this navigation bar. I'm going to copy it, and then I'm going to paste it in the single product.html. I'm going to paste it here. And then I'm going to close it one more time because we don't want to confuse ourselves. And then I'm going to copy the footer as well. So from the index, if you scroll down, you should find that we have the footer. So I'm going to copy the footer as well. And then I'm going to paste the footer below the navigation bar, but you need to leave here space because we need to add code here. So I'm going to here give myself some space, and then I'm going to paste the footer. And then I'm going to close the footer as well. I'm going to close here this footer. So now we have the navigation bar and we have the footer. Let me click on File and then Save All. And let's test that in the browser. So now in the browser, I'm going to go to the single _ product.html. And then I'm going to hit enter, and as you can see, we have the navigation bar as well as the footer. Now we need to work on the content. So the content will contain a single image with all its information. So the design is going to be like this. On the left side, I'm going to display the product image, and on the right side, I'm going to display information about the product, as well as a button to add to the cart, and the quantity, and also the price. All of these things on the right side. So images will be on the left side, whereas information will be on the right side. So let's work on the design. So here in the single product.html, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to create a new section here. I'm going to say here section. And then I'm going to give this section a class. I'm going to say here class, and that class is going to be single product, and I'm going to also give it margin Y, margin top and bottom 5, and also margin also padding top 5. And inside that section, we want to divide the page into two columns. Therefore, I'm going to say here dev, and then for this dev, I'm going to give it the raw class because we want to divide the page into two columns. And I'm going to also give this this dev a margin top 5. And inside this dev, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to create another dev. I'm going to say here dev. And this dev will contain the image on the left side. So I'm going to first give this dev a class, and that class is going to be column large 5 because we want it to take 5 out of 12 columns for large screens. For medium screens, I'm going to let this take 6 out of 12. For small screens, I'm going to give it 12 columns. That's it. Now inside this dev, we want to display the image. So I'm going to say image, and then for this image, I'm going to say source. And let's use one of the images that we already have. I'm going to say assets, images. Let's use the featured one. And then I'm going to give this image a class. I'm going to say here class. First, I'm going to give it the image fluid, which is going to make the image responsive. I'm going to also give it a width 100%, 100 with 100%, so that it takes the complete parent size. Also, I'm going to give it padding bottom. I'm going to say PB1, padding bottom 1. Let me here save, and let me head on over to the browser and test. So now if I refresh, as you can see, we have this image. But of course we need to work on the design further because I want to display the image. I want to make this image smaller. But before I work on this, let's work on the small images because I'm going to be displaying the varieties of that product. So below this image, I'm going to display small images that represent the different varieties of that product. So below this div, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to create another div, but it must be inside this div. It must be here, actually below the image, not below the div, because we want the images to be displayed below this image, not below the div itself. So below the image, I'm going to say div, and then I'm going to give this div a class, and that class is going to be, I'm going to name it small image group. And for this small image group, I'm gonna also create another div inside it, and I'm gonna give this image also another class called small image column, and I'm gonna display inside it one image. I'm gonna say here image, and I'm gonna give it here a source, and let's use one of the images that we already have. I'm gonna say assets, images, featured2.jpg, and I'm gonna also give it a width. I'm gonna say width 100%, and I'm gonna give it a class called small image. Let me save and let me head on over to the browser and test. So in the browser now, as you can see, we will have one image. Let's now display other images. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to copy this section, this dev. I'm going to copy this dev, and I'm going to paste it 4 times. I'm going to copy this, and inside the same dev here below this, I'm going to paste it 1, 2, 3. So we should have 1, 2, 3, 4. We should have 4 devs like this. Now let me change the images. So I'm going to say here featured 1, and then featured 2, and then featured 3, and then featured 4, and then here featured, let's use another image. Let me use the clothes one. Let me now save, and let me head on over to the browser and refresh, and we should have now other images. So we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we have all of these images. Of course, we need to display these images below the product, the product that we want to display as varieties of that product. So they must be displayed here in small containers. So let's work on this. So in order to work on this, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to create CSS classes. Therefore, I'm going to head on over to the CSS here, CSS, style.css, and then in the style, let's work on this. So I'm going to scroll to the bottom, and then let's work on this. So here I'm going to say small image group, and for the small image group, I'm going to remember this small image group is this one. It represents this small image group. It represents the dev that contains all of the small images. So for this, we need to give it a display flex, and we need also to give it justify content space between. Let me save and let me show you what this is gonna do. So if I refresh now, as you can see, these images will be small, but they don't have the same sizes, so we need to fix their sizes. Therefore, I'm gonna work on the other class, which is the small image column. Remember, here in the single product, for each image, I have given each image a class called small image col. So here, in order to make all images have the same exact width and height, we need to say flex basis 24% or 25. And let's also give it cursor. It means that the image is going to be clickable. Let me now save and refresh. And as you can see, all of the images will have the same exact width and height. You might find some images a little bigger than others, and the reason is because some images are originally bigger in terms of the size than others. This is why I have always been telling you that you need to make sure that all of your images, all of your product images, have the same exact size. Otherwise, you will, even if you try to resize them using CSS, some images, because they are originally small, they will not look they will not fill the complete container. This is the only problem that we will have. So now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to first work on the design further, and then I'm going to display the product information on the right side. First of all, in the single product, I'm going to give this section I'm gonna give it the bootstrap class, the container. I'm gonna say here container. Why? Because if I give it the container, you'll find that if I refresh, you'll find that it will fit the screen perfectly. As you can see, there will be here more space, and the slider was removed. Now let's work on this area. Let's here display information about this product, such as the product details, the quantity, the add to cart button, all of these things. And to do this, remember below this div and inside this raw, which is this div, we need to create another div. We need here to say div, and this div is gonna have class, and that class will have column large 6 for large screens. For medium screens, I'm gonna give it 12 columns. For small screens, you can give it 12. Let's give it 12. By the way, you can say here call 12 without saying SM, which means that by default it's gonna take 12 columns in case the screen is doesn't fit, is not considered large, and is not considered medium either. It will take 12 columns. So here inside this div, first I'm gonna display h6, and then I'm gonna say here home, for example, or men. Let's say men, shoes, and then I'm gonna display h3, and in this h3 I'm gonna display the some text. Let's say the category, for example, men's fashion, and I'm gonna give this a class py4, padding top and bottom 4. Next, I'm gonna work on the price. So below this h3, we need to display the price. I'm gonna say here h2, and then I'm gonna display the price. Here I'm gonna say price, any price you want. And then below this price, I'm gonna display the input, and that input will display the number of products. I'm gonna say input, and inside this input, we need to give it first a type. The type will be a number because this is a number, and value. The value is 1 because by default we would expect the user to buy only one item, and therefore we need to say here 1. And below this, I'm going to display a button. I'm going to say here button, and then for this button, I'm going to say add to cart, and I'm going to give it a class. That class is going to be by button, which the button that we already have. And we can use another class if we want, or we can edit this class. I'm going to show you another method of editing the design of this button. But first, let me show you how this looks like. Now, if I refresh, as you can see, we have here, it says men section, men shoes, and then men fashion, and then here 155, which is the price, and then here the one, which is the quantity. Here you can increase the quantity and the add to cart button. But of course, we need to work on the design, and also we need to display the details. So first, let's display the details below this button. Below this button, I'm gonna here say h4, below the button, and I'm gonna say here product details. Let's give this h4 plus margin top 5, and margin bottom 5. And below it, I'm going to display the text. So I'm going to say here span, and inside that span, I'm going to display the details. I'm going to say here the details. So this is just this text is just for the sake of testing, and later we can edit this text. Let me here click on File and then Save All, and let me show you how this would look like. So if I refresh, as you can see, this is how it's gonna look like. However, we need to fix the design of this. Of course, the design is not that good. Let's work on the design. So I'm gonna head on over to the style.css, and in the style.css, what we want to do is that we want to work on the button, and we want also to work on the input. We need to fix the input. So I'm going to start by fixing the input. So the input here has a outline here colored in blue, and I want to remove this. To remove this, I'm going to say here single product. Remember the big section class is single product. So I'm going to say here dot single product, and then I'm going to access the input. I'm going to say input, and then I'm going to say here focus, and then I'm going to remove the outline. I'm going to say outline none. Now if I refresh and here if I click here inside, the borders or the outline was removed. Let's work on the design of that input. So I'm going to say here dot single product, and then input, the input itself. Now let's fix the width. So the width, as you can see, the width is too big. We don't want this. We want it to be much smaller. So I'm going to change the width. I'm going to say here width. So the width would be only, let's say 50 px only. And then I'm going to change also the height to 40%, 40 px. And I'm going to change also the padding and the font. So for the padding left, we want to add padding left because as you can see, the number is very close to the left side, and we want to shift that number a little. Next, I'm gonna change the font size. So the font size would be 16 px. And finally, I'm gonna add margin right 10 px, because I want here some space. Let me refresh and show you how this is gonna look like. As you can see now, this input looks perfect now. The number is very clear and big enough for the user to see, and the box itself is very good in terms of its dimensions. This is for the input. Let's work on the button. So for the button, remember this button. The button, I'm gonna change the color of this button. So instead of displaying this button in black, I'm gonna display it in orange. So I'm gonna say here dot single product, and then dot buy button, and then I'm gonna work on this. Remember that we already have a class called buy button, but if I just access the buy button one more time without saying single product, this is gonna ruin the original design of the buy button. Therefore, we need to say single product and then buy button, or we can create a new class. So you have two options. You can create a new class called add to cart, for example, or you can use here single product and then buy button. So you can here, if you don't want to be confused, if you don't want to get confused, you can here say add to cart button. But add to cart button is going to be a very long word. Therefore, I'm just going to say buy button. So I'm going to say here buy button. But you need to know that this buy button, since I said single product, it's inside the single product page. Let's change now the background color. I'm going to say background color. So the background color is going to be the orange color that I have already used earlier. And I'm gonna change the opacity to 1. I want the opacity to be 1, and I want transition of 0.4 seconds all. Let's save and refresh. And as you can see, it's gonna be orange. It's gonna be orange. Let's also change the hover. So I'm gonna add a hover effect to it. I'm gonna say single product dot buy button, and then hover. And I'm gonna change this to, I'm gonna change the background. I'm gonna say background. So the background color, if I hover over it, let's use this color. So as you can see, if I hover over it, it's gonna be like this. So this is how it's gonna look like. I think it looks amazing, and you might think that this area is too big. It's not actually too big because we don't have here text, but when we have here a lot of text, it's not gonna be that big. So here, let me show you what I mean. So here, we need to add this text many times. So let me add this text 4 or 5 times. I'm gonna paste it here, 1, 2, 3, 4. So if we have a lot of text here, and we should have a lot of text that describes this product. As you can see, the area is not it's not large because now we have a lot of text. So this is how it's gonna look like. Now what we want to do is that we want to display the related products below this. So in order to do this, we need to get the products, the code that we already have created. So if we go back, you will find that if you go back to the, remember, if you go back to the index, let me go to the index. So if you go to the index, which is the home page, you'll find that we already have this featured section. We can use this featured section in the single product to display the related products. So I'm gonna head on over to the index, and in the index, remember we have here the featured. I'm gonna copy this. I'm gonna close it first, and then I'm gonna copy it, and I'm gonna paste it in the single product.html below this section. Below this single, I'm gonna say here single product. So below this single product, I'm gonna paste this featured, and then I'm gonna change first. Here, instead of featured, I'm gonna say related products. Related products. And I'm gonna here say ID related products. Related products. And here I'm gonna say related products. And I'm gonna remove this paragraph. I don't need this paragraph here. And let me close this section, and let's save and head on over to the browser and refresh. And as you can see, we will have this related products displayed here, which looks amazing. Below, it's gonna be below this, below the single product area here. So now what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna display the other images. If the user clicks on one of these images, we want to replace this image with one of these images, so that the user will be able to check each single image of these images. So for example, if I click on this black bag, I want it to be displayed here instead of this shoes. So how can we do this? To do this, we need to use JavaScript. So first we need to give this image an ID. So remember, this image exists here in this single product section. This image. So this image, we need to give it an ID. I'm gonna here say ID, and then I'm gonna say main image. And we need to use JavaScript. So I'm gonna scroll to the bottom, and here below this script, I'm gonna create a script. I'm gonna say here script, and I'm gonna close the script. And now we need to access the image. So to access the image, we need to say document.getElementById, and then which ID that we used? This ID. Remember the ID that I just I have just given the image was this main image. So I'm gonna say here document.getElementById, and then main image. And we need to store this in a variable. I'm gonna say here var main image is equal to document.getElementById, and then main image. Now what we need to do is that we need to replace this main image with one of these images upon clicking on one of these images. Therefore, we need to make reference to these images. So in order to make reference to these images, we need to use the document getElementByClassName. So I'm going to say here document.getElementByClassName, and then the class of these images, what is the class that is common among these images. Remember, the class that all of these images have is the small image column, and also the small image. So we need to use the small image. We need to use the small image class. So let's use it here. I'm going to say getElementByClassName, and the class name that I'm going to be using is the small image. And then I'm going to store this in a variable. I'm going to say var small image. Now we need to use JavaScript to replace this with this. In other words, we need to replace this image, one of these images, with we need to replace this by one of these images. So I'm gonna take this down and add one of these images instead of this one here in this big area upon clicking on one of these images. In order to do this, we need to add click event to the small image. So I'm gonna say small image here. I'm gonna say small image dot on click if user clicks on one of these images. I'm gonna call a function here. I'm gonna say function, and this function is gonna replace the small image with is gonna take the main image down and add the small image instead of it. So I'm gonna say here function, and then I'm gonna say main image dot source now is gonna be equal to the small image of the first image, which has an index of 0 dot source. So let me walk you through the code one more time. The first line is going to make reference to the main image, which is this image, the big image. This getElementByClassName small image will return an array. This is going to return an array with the small images. So we have, how many images do we have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 images. Therefore, this is going to return 4 images with 4 indexes. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So for the first image, the index is 0, so I'm gonna test this with the first image. This function now is gonna uh, listen to clicks on the small image. So if you actually, I should here say the first image, which has an index of 0, because I'm testing on the first image. So if the user clicks on the first image, which is this image, the first small image, what's gonna happen is that the source of the main image will be replaced with the small image source. In other words, down, and this image will take the place of this image. Let me now save and show you how this is gonna look like, how this is gonna work. Let me save now, and let me here refresh, and let's test. So if I click on this small image, as you can see, it will take the place of the original image, which is amazing. Now the problem is with the other images. If I click on the second image, nothing is gonna happen. If I click on the third image, nothing is gonna happen. If I click on the fourth image, nothing is gonna happen. So we need to apply the same concept to all other images. And to do this, we need to copy this code and paste it here, and then here change this 0 with 1, because the second image has an index of 1. So we need here to say small image 1, and here we need to say small image 1. Now if I save and test, let me save and head on over to the browser and test. And if I click on the second image, it's going to take the place of the original image. However, if I click on the third image, nothing is going to happen. So we need to repeat the same exact code. And this is not a good practice. Therefore, we need to use a for loop. So instead of repeating the code over and over and over again, here's where loops come in handy. So here I'm going to say for, and then let I is equal to 0, and then I is smaller than 4, because we have 4 images, and then I plus plus. And then inside this loop, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to copy this code, and then I'm going to paste it inside this for loop. And let me push this code. Now, instead of saying small image 0, we need to say small image I. And here we need to say small image I. In other words, as long as I is smaller than 4, we will replace this I with 0 in the first iteration. In the second iteration, the I is going to be 1. In the third iteration, it's going to be 2. And in the fourth and last iteration, it's going to be 3. So this is going to, if I save, this is going to replace all images and put one of these images here upon clicking on any of these images. Let me now refresh and test with all images. So if I click on the first image, it's going to take the place of the original image. If I click on the second image, it's going to take the place of the original image. If I click on the third image, it's going to take the place of the original image. And of course, if I click on the last image, it's going to take the place of the original image. So now we are done with this functionality, which is amazing, and it's going to give the user an outstanding user experience. Welcome back. Now what we need to do is that we need to go to the single product page whenever we click on one of these products. So for example, if I click on this product, I should go to the single product page in order to check out this specific product. So how can we accomplish this? How can we do this? To do this, first we need to open up the shop, the index, because this page is actually the shop. So I'm going to open up the shop page, and then in the shop page, remember we have products. We have so many products. So I'm going to apply this to one product, and then we can repeat the same thing to all products. So let's do this to the first product. So the first product is this one, is is this product. This product. Let me show you where it is. It starts from this product. So it starts from here. It starts from here. So in order to go to another page from upon clicking on this, we should have href. But here we don't have href. So how can we go from this dev to the single product page? Well, we can here add on click event. So here what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna say on click, and then on click what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna say here window dot location dot href, and then the href is gonna be equal to single quotes and then single underscore product dot html and then semicolon. That's it. Now if I click on save all and head on over back to the browser, let me refresh. Let me now click on the first product. So if I click on it, as you can see, it's going to take me to the single product page. So it works successfully. Now you can apply the same exact thing to all other products that we have. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to work on the cart page. So in order to work on the cart page, we need to create a new page called cart. So I'm gonna, here in my project, I'm gonna create a new file here called cart.html. And then since this cart will have also the navigation bar as well as the footer, we need to get the navigation bar and the footer from one of these pages. So I'm gonna open up the index, and then from the top I'm gonna copy the body. First I'm gonna copy the body. I'm going to copy from this, starting from the first line of the page all the way to the body, and then I'm going to paste it in the cart.html. And then in the index, I'm going to go back to the index, and then I'm going to copy also the last 3 lines, the script, the closing tag of the body, and the closing tag of the HTML. And then I'm going to paste it in the cart.html. But you need to leave here a big space. Now we need to get the navigation bar as well as the footer. So from the index, I'm going to get the navigation bar. We have this nav bar, I'm going to copy it. And then I'm going to paste it here in the cart. And then I'm going to close it first. So this is the navigation bar. And then I'm going to go back to the index and get the footer. So we have this footer, I'm going to copy the footer. And then I'm going to paste it in the cart.html, again here. And then you need to close it in order to see where it is. So here, as you can see, we have the navigation bar, and then we have space, and then we have the footer. So now let me check that in the browser. So I'm going to go back to the browser, and then I'm going to go to the cart.html. And as you can see, we have the navigation bar and we have the footer. Now we need to work on the content of the navigation of the cart. So the cart will contain obviously the products that the user added to the cart, and also their information such as the price, the name of the product, the quantity, the total price, all of these things. So in order to work on the cart, this time I'm gonna be using a table. A table is the easiest and best way to use in order to create a well-designed cart. So here I'm gonna add a comment, and then I'm gonna say cart, and as usual I'm gonna start with the section. And then in this section I'm gonna give it as usual class, and then I'm gonna say cart. The class is going to be cart, and also I'm going to give it, as usual, a container, and margin top and bottom 5, and padding top and bottom 5. And then inside that section, I'm going to create a div first, and for this div, I'm going to give it a class. I'm going to say class, and the class is going to be again container. I'm going to give it a container to add some margins from the right and left, and also I'm going to give it margin top 5. Inside the div, I'm going to display a text that says your cart, and I'm going to give this h2 also a class. I'm going to say font weight bold, and I'm going to also add hr below this. And finally, I'm going to save and test. So I'm going to save all, and then I'm going to head on over back to the browser and refresh. And as you can see, we have this your cart. So this is the title of the your cart page. Let's now work on the cart itself. So below this div, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to create a table. I'm going to say here table, and then I'm going to give this table first. I'm going to give it class, and the class that I'm going to give this table is the margin top 5, and also padding top 5. Then inside that table, I'm going to add here tr, and for this tr, we want to display 3 columns. So I'm going to say here th, and the first one is going to say product, and the second th, the second column will display the quantity, and then the last column will display the subtotal. Let me save and let me head on over to the browser and show you how this is going to look like. So as you can see, we have here product, quantity, and subtotal. But we need to stretch this so that the table takes the complete screen width. So we need to work on CSS. But before I do so, let's continue with this table. So below this head, or below these columns, we need to display the first product. So I'm going to say here tr, and inside that tr now, I'm going to display td. And in the first td, I'm going to display a div that contains information about the product. So I'm going to say here class, I'm going to give it a class, and then I'm going to say product info. And inside that product info, I'm going to first display an image, the image of the product. Let's use the one of the images that we already have here. I'm going to say assets images, and let's use the first image, featured one. And then I'm going to display below this image, I'm going to create another div that displays the product name. Here I'm going to say P, and then I'm going to say white shoes, and below this I'm going to display the price. I'm going to say here small, and inside that small I'm going to first add a span, and that span will contain the $sign, and besides the $sign, I'm going to display the product price. And then below this, I'm going to break. Here I'm going to say br, and then I'm going to display a button that will allow the user to remove the product from the cart. So I'm going to say here a tag, and then I'm going to give it a class. I'm going to say class remove button, and I'm going to say remove. Here I'm going to say remove. So this is for this part. Let me save first, and then let me head on over back to the browser and refresh. And as you can see, we have here the product image, and then we have here the name of the product and the price, and remove. But before we continue working on other things, let's fix this table. So to fix this table, I'm going to open up the CSS here in the assets CSS. The style, I'm going to work on the cart. So here I'm going to add a comment, and then I'm going to say cart. So first of all, we need to work on the table itself. So I'm going to say .cart table. So for the table itself, first the cart, remember the cart is this. The cart is this class, this cart, and inside it we have the table. Therefore I said here cart and then table. So for the cart table, I'm going to first give it a width of 100% in order for it to take the complete screen width. And then I'm going to say border collapse, collapse, border collapse, collapse. And then I'm going to say cart product info, product info. And for the product info, first I'm going to change the display to be flex, display flex. And the flex is going to be, flex wrap is going to be wrap, flex wrap, wrap. And for the columns of the table, I'm going to say .cart and then th. And for these columns, I'm going to change the text to align to be on the left side. And the padding, I'm going to give it a padding. The padding is going to be 5px top and bottom and 10px left and right. For the color is going to be white, the color of the text. And the background color would be the orange color. Let me save now and let me check this in the browser. So as you can see, this is the head of the table here, product, and then quantity, and then subtotal. So this is the head. So we also need to work on the TD. Remember, in the table we have TD. The TD represents, this TD represents the image and the name of the product and the price and also the button. So we need to fix that. We need to fix the image and the product information. So I'm going to say .cart TD, and then I'm going to give it first a padding. I'm going to say TD padding, and the padding from top and bottom would be 10px, and from right and left would be 20px. And we also have the TD here we have the image TD, this image. So this image doesn't have a class, so we can access this image by saying .cart cart TD image, and we can change the image width to be only 80px because the image must be small, and the height also must be small. It must be something around 80 or 90 or maximum 100. I'm gonna also give it a margin right 10px. Let me save and let me test this in the browser. So as you can see, the image now is much smaller, and we have these we have the product information on the right side. Let's continue working on the design. So what else we want to work on is that we need to we are done with this part. But here we need to add the quantity as well as the subtotal. So in order to do this, I'm gonna head on over back to the cart. So in the cart, we need to work quantity, we need to display an input that displays the quantity. So below this remove button, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to create another TD. So below this TD, but inside this TR, because we are still inside the same row, we need to create another TD. I'm going to say here TD, and for this TD, I'm going to first create an input. I'm going to say input, and this input, I'm going to say type number, and then I'm going to say value 1. The default value is going to be 1. And then I'm going to add here a tag, and this a tag class, I'm going to give it a class called edit button. Edit button. And here I'm going to say edit. And then below this edit, I'm going to display the price. So below this TD, I'm going to display the price. It's not going to be below it. It's going to be on the right side. So this TD will be displayed underneath the quantity, whereas the price is going to be displayed underneath the subtotal. So below this TD, we need to create another TD to display the price. So for this TD, I'm going to say TD and then span, and span. This span will contain the $sign, and then here I'm going to create another P paragraph that will display the. Actually, I'm going to create another span that will display the price, and then I'm going to give it here a class, and then I'm going to say price, product price. Let me save and let me here refresh, and as you can see, we will have here the quantity here, the input and the edit, and we have the price on the right side. But we still need to work on the design. So I'm going to head on over to CSS, and then in CSS I'm going to add the following design. First, what we need to do is that we need to fix the input. So we need to work on the input of the quantity. So I'm going to say cart, and then input, and before the input we need to say TD because the input is inside a TD. And then I'm going to here change the width of the input, because as you can see the width is too large. So I'm going to change the width to be only 40 px. And then I'm going to change also the height, because the height is also doesn't fit with the width. And finally, I'm going to change the padding so that the number will be displayed in the middle of the input. Next, I'm going to work on the a tag of here. We have this a tag. We have these buttons. We can edit these buttons. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to here say cart, and then TD, and then a tag, because I'm going to give these two buttons the same exact design. So we don't need to repeat the same code. Therefore, I'm going to just say cart TD a tag, and then I'm going to say color. I'm going to change the color. So the color is going to be the orange color. I'm going to say here orange, this orange color that I already used. Let me now test, and as you can see, the buttons are being displayed. They look amazing. Finally, I'm going to work on each single button. So for each single button, we have the remove dot cart remove button, remove btn. I'm going to edit the button further. So the color again is going to be the orange color, but the text decoration is going to be none. Similarly for the cart edit button, edit btn is also going to have a color, the orange color, and the text decoration is going to be none. However, I'm going to change the font a little. I'm going to say here font size, let's say 15px here, and here let me say font size 14px. Let me save and let me refresh, and as you can see, this is how it's going to look like. Here I have a problem. I need to say text decoration none, and here text decoration none. Remove btn. So here remove the classes, remove btn, and here edit btn. Here I need to add this href just to make it clickable. So let me save and let me refresh. And also here in the style.css, I have a problem. I shouldn't say card. I should say cart with a T, not D. This is gonna fix it. So as you can see now, it has been fixed. Finally, we need to remove this space. I think this space is too large. So to do this, we can use here. We can say that cart product info p tag. Remember this p tag, which displays the product name, which is this. So we need to remove the margin, the big margin underneath this paragraph. So therefore, I'm going to say here cart product info and then paragraph, and then I'm going to decrease the margin from all sides. I'm going to say also only 3px. There is no need for a big margin. So as you can see now, this has been removed. Also the text, I think the text here is a little large. We need to decrease this further to 14, but increase this. I think this is too small. I'm going to say here 15 and this is 14. Now it should be different. So here the remove is smaller and the edit is a little larger. I think now it looks amazing. And here we have this input that controls the quantity and the edit, which should take the user to the previous page, which is the products page, or the single product page, or the products page. Welcome back. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to work on the total of products that we have, the total amount and the total amount of money that the user or the customer will pay. But before I do so, let me show you how we can add more items to the cart. So here in the cart.html, you can copy this item. As you can see, the item starts from this tr. From this tr all the way to the end of this tr, you can close this tr, this one, and actually let me open it because I need to show you the complete code. So this is the code. If you copy this and then if you paste it below here, 1 and then 2 times, and then if you head on over to the browser and refresh, you'll find that now we have three products in the cart. Now let's work on the total amount. So to work on the total amount, I'm going to create another table below this table. So below this table, I'm going to here create a new table for the total. I'm going to say here table, and this table is going to contain is going to be surrounded first with a dev. So I'm going to create first a dev. I'm going to say here dev, and then inside that dev, let me remove this table, and let me inside the dev create that table. So here inside this dev, I'm going to create the table. Here I'm going to say table, and I'm going to first give this dev a class. I'm going to say here class, and then I'm going to say cart total. This is going to be the total. And then inside that table, I'm going to display two things. I'm going to first display tr, and for this tr, I'm going to first display the subtotal. I'm going to say here td, and then subtotal, and then below this subtotal, we need to display the amount of money. So I'm going to say td, and then the total. So here $, and then let me get this $, and then here let's type any number you want. So here let me say 155, and then we need to display another tr. So I'm going to say here tr, and inside that tr I'm going to display td with the total here, the total amount. And then here the complete total. Let me save, and let me head on over to the browser. And as you can see, we have here the total, and the subtotal and the total. But we need to work on CSS. So I'm going to head on over to CSS. And then in CSS, we need to work on the class that we just created, which was the cart total. Cart total. And then I'm going to give this cart total a display of flex, and justify content flex end. So why am I doing this? The reason is because I want to display it on the right side. Let me refresh and show you how it's going to look like. So it's not on the right side yet. So the problem is that, let me make sure that I have given it the correct class total, and here cart total. So what I need to do in order to display it on the right side is that I need to fix the table itself. So I'm going to say here cart total and then table. And for this table, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to change the width and the maximum width. So the width is going to be 100%. There is no problem with this. However, the maximum width now, let me here remove this. So the maximum width is going to be max width. The maximum width is going to be let's say 500 px, and also let's give it a border top. I'm going to say border top 3px solid orange. Let me now show you what this is going to do to the table. So the table now, as you can see, will be displayed like this. It's not going to be it's not going to take the complete screen width. However, we need to shift this table to the right side. And to shift this table to the right side, we need to say td, and then last child, and then text align right. Text align right. This is going to display it on the right side. Also, the th last child text align right. Let me save and let me refresh. And as you can see now, the the price will be displayed on the right side. However, we still need to take this table and display it on the right side. To do this, we need to fix this. Instead of saying justify self, we need to say here justify content. Justify content flex end. The justify content flex end will take the table to the right side. Let me show you that now. So as you can see now, the table has been taken and is now being displayed on the right side. This is what I wanted to display, and as you can see, it's going to display the subtotal and the total. And you can only display the total if you wish to display only the total. So this is how it works. Finally, I'm going to display a. Let me check first the responsiveness. So the responsiveness is, I think it's great. The only thing that remains is displaying the button, the checkout button. So to display the checkout button, we can display it below the table. So we can here say button. It's displayed in dev first, dev, and then button checkout. I'm gonna first give it class, and then I'm gonna say btn, and let's say checkout btn, and I'm gonna say here checkout. So the button is being displayed on the right side, so we need to shift it. So here, I'm going to say checkout button, and then display flex, and justify content, flex end. Also, I'm going to change the background color. I'm going to say background. So the background color is going to be the orange color, and the color is going to be the white color. However, we need to add the display flex and the content to the dev itself, not to the button, because the button is inside a dev. So here I'm gonna say we have two options. We can create another class, or we can copy this complete content and paste it below the table. But let's keep it. Let's create a new class. I think creating a new class is better. I'm gonna create a new class, and then I'm gonna say check out container, and then here I'm gonna say check out container. So for the checkout container, I'm going to say display flex, and justify content flex end. And as you can see, the button will be displayed on the right side. So now it looks amazing, and now we have this checkout. So we have this checkout button, which looks amazing. Welcome back. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to work on the login page. So I'm going to create a new here page called login.html. And then in this login.html, first I'm going to copy the header and the body from the index. From the index here, I'm going to first copy this part, and then I'm going to paste it in the login, and then I'm going to again copy the footer part, which is this part, these 3 lines, and then I'm going to paste them in the login, and then in between we need to display the navigation as well as the footer. So I'm gonna get the navigation from the index. Here I'm gonna get this navigation, and then I'm gonna paste it in the login, and then I'm gonna close it because we don't want to work on it. And I'm gonna get also the footer, so I'm gonna copy the footer and paste it in the index as well, and then I'm gonna close it because I'm not gonna work on it. Now we need to work on the login form. So in order to work on the login form, I'm gonna create a login section. I'm gonna say here login, and then here I'm gonna create a section. I'm gonna say here section, and for the section, first of all, I'm gonna give it a class. I'm gonna say here class, and I'm gonna give it the margin y, margin top and bottom 5, and padding y, padding top and bottom 5. Then inside that, I'm gonna create a div, and for this div, I'm gonna also give it a class, and that class is gonna be the container, and I'm gonna also give it a text center because I want the text to be centered, and I also need margin top and margin and padding top. I'm gonna say margin top 3 and padding top 5. Now inside this div, I'm gonna display here, I'm gonna use h2 to display a text, and I'm gonna give this h2 class, and that class is gonna be the form weight bold, and I'm gonna say here login. Below this login, I'm gonna display HR, and I'm gonna give it a class again, and that class is gonna be mx auto, margin right and left auto. And then I'm gonna create below this, I'm gonna create a div, but before I do so, let's test first. I'm gonna save all, and let me head over to the browser and let me go to the login. So if you go to the login, you'll find that we have here login. Let's now work on the form itself. So below this div, I'm going to create another div. So for this div, I'm going to say here class, and then I'm going to say mx auto because I want again to center this form, and I'm going to add a container class to it because I want to add margins left and right to it. Now inside this, I'm going to create the form itself. I'm going to say here form, and then I'm going to give this form an ID. The ID would be login form, and inside that form we need a div, and this div is going to be for the first input. I'm going to say class form group, and then inside this I'm going to use the label to display the first info about the first label, about the first input. So the first input is going to be email, therefore I'm going to say here email, and the input itself that's going to allow the user to type their email is going to be the input. I'm going to be using the input itself, and I'm going to give it a type. The type is text or email. Let's say text, and I'm going to give it also a class, a bootstrap class called form control, and I'm going to give it ID. The ID is important, is very important. I'm going to give it an ID called login email, and also the name. The name is going to be email, and also let's say placeholder. I'm going to say placeholder email, and finally I'm going to say required. So this is for the email. Let me save and let me head on over to the browser and test. So the email here, as you can see, this is the input for the email. Let's create another one. So to create another one, I'm just going to copy this div, and then I'm going to paste it below, and we just need to change a few things. So for instead of saying email, we need password, so the user would be able to log in using the email and the password. The type is going to be password, the class form control, the ID is login password, and we need also a name. So the name is password, and the placeholder is password. Lastly, we need to display, let me first save and show you this. So here, as you can see, we have email and password. Lastly, we need to add a button. So to add a button, I'm going to copy again this div, and then I'm going to paste it below. But the button is going to be different. The button doesn't need to have a label. I'm going to remove the label, and the button type is going to be submit. It should be submit, and the class for the input is just going to be btn. We don't need the form control. We need to say btn, and the ID is going to be login btn. And the class, we already said that the class is btn. Finally, we need the value. We don't need any of this, so I'm going to remove all of these. Instead, we just need here, we just need value. So the value is login. Let me save and let me head on over to the browser and test. So we should have here a button. Here it says login, but we need to work on the design. But before I work on the design, let's continue and finish this form. So the last thing that we need on the form is the registration URL. We need a link that takes the user to the registration page. Therefore, I'm going to create another div below this one, and this one is going to be a tag. So I'm going to remove this input completely, and then I'm going to say a tag. And for this a tag, I'm going to give it an ID. I'm going to say ID register URL. And the class, I'm going to give it also a class. I'm going to say class btn. Lastly, I'm going to display here don't have account and then here register. Let me now save and let me head on over to the browser and refresh. And as you can see, we have now this button. It says don't have an account, register. Let's now start working on the design. So I'm going to open up the CSS, the assets. We have the CSS. In the style.css, let's start working on the login. So I'm going to add here a comment first. I'm going to say here login, and first we need to work on, remember we have in the login we have the login, I believe we have the login form. So I'm going to start with the login form. I'm going to say here hashtag login form. So for the login form itself, the first thing that I'm going to do is that I'm going to change the width. I'm going to say width 50% because I want the form to take only this area. I want it to be centered, and I want the login form to be small, and I don't want it to take the complete screen width. Therefore, I'm going to say here width 50%. Next, I'm going to say margin 5px auto. This is going to center the form. Next, I'm going to say text align center. But I think we already have given the entire. We didn't. So this text center was for the login, so it's not. So this we need to add this text align center. Next, we need to say padding. We need to add padding. Padding is going to give it a good spaces from the from all sides. I'm going to say 20px. Lastly, I'm going to say border top. I'm going to add border top to it of 1px solid orange. So the orange color that I have been using was this one. Let me now save and let's see how this looks like. So as you can see now, it's much smaller and it's being displayed in the middle. Now let's work on the rest of the form. So in the form itself, we have the inputs. So for the inputs, I'm going to say here, I'm going to say login form, and then I'm gonna access the inputs. For the inputs, I want also the size to be 50%. I'm gonna say 50% because as you can see, the inputs are extraordinary big. They are extraordinary big, and we don't want that. I just want them to be extremely small. There is no need to display an email or password field with this huge width. It must be small. So this is for the input, and also we need to add some margins. So I'm going to add here margin 5px top and bottom and auto left and right. The next thing that I'm going to do is that I'm going to work on the login button design. I'm going to say login form and then login button, login btn. So for the login button, I want the login to have the orange color. I'm going to say background color. So the background color is going to be the orange color, and the color itself is going to be white. The color of the text is going to be white. I'm going to say color and then this color. Similarly for the register, we want the reverse. For the register, I'm going to say here login form, and then I want the register URL. For the register URL, I just want the text to be orange. So I'm going to say color orange, color this color, which is the orange color. Let's now save and let me show you how this would look like. So as you can see now, it looks outstanding. Now the form is not extraordinary big. It's much smaller and it looks amazing. The user doesn't have to fill a huge input. It's just enough for the email and for the password. Also the button fits perfectly with the width of the inputs. Also we have the don't have account button, which looks amazing. It shouldn't be displayed as a button. It should be a link like this, where the color is different but the background is nothing. The background is just white, like the background color of the website itself. And we also have here the login, which is being displayed at the top, which is also important to let the user know that this is the login page. So now we have the login page complete. So now what we need to do is that we need to work on the registration form. And the good news is that we don't need to repeat a lot of things, because we already have the login form and we can use the login form and edit that login form to create a registration form. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to create here a new file called register.html, and I'm going to copy the entire code from the login. So from the login, I'm going to copy this code, the entire page, and then I'm going to paste it in the register. However, we need to edit many things. First, let me save everything, and let me head on over to the browser, and here I'm going to say register.html. If I say register.html, it's going to display the login form. So we need to change this login form to be the registration form. So here, instead of saying login, I'm going to say register. And then I'm going to give it here, here first I'm going to change the login to register. I'm going to say register. And for the registration form, we need first to change the ID. So the form is going to be register form or registration form. Let's say register form, just for the sake of keeping the word small and short. So here for the registration form, we need an email, we need a password, we need confirmation for the password, and we also need the user name. Therefore, I'm going to copy the email, and then I'm going to paste it above. But instead of saying email, I'm going to say name. So this is going to be the name. And I'm going to say the input type text, the class is form control, the ID is going to be register name, and the name is going to be name. the placeholder is name. The second input is email, and then here type text, class form control, and then ID is register email. The name is email, and the placeholder is email. The third input is the password. The only thing that we need to change is here the ID. So the ID is going to be register password. We also need to copy the password, and then we need to paste it below it, and we need to say, instead of password, I'm going to say confirm or password confirmation. I'm going to say confirm password. Confirm password. So the type is password. The class is form control. The ID is register confirm password. Confirm password. The name is confirm password or password confirmation. Let's say confirm password. I'm going to say confirm password, and the placeholder is confirm password. Now the tricky part is the button. The button is going to say register, and the ID is register button, register btn. On the other hand, the link is going to say login URL, and here I'm going to say here, do you have an account? Do you have an account? And then login. So if the user has an account, then they can log in. Let me save and let me show you how this would look like in the browser. So as you can see, this is how it's going to look like. However, we need to fix the design and make it look like the login form. As you can see, the login form looks like this, which looks amazing. We need to replicate this and apply the same design to the register or the registration form. So I'm going to head on over to CSS. We have the style.css, and then I'm going to add here a comment. I'm going to say register, and then let's start with the registration form. I'm going to say register form. So the design is going to be similar to the login. Therefore, there is no need to type the code again. We can copy the code from here. We can copy this code and paste it here. And let me save. And let me show you how this would look like. So now, as you can see, it looks like this. Now we need to work on the other elements. So the other elements are the buttons and the inputs. So for the inputs, we need to say register form input, and the code would be the same as the input that we had in the login. So I'm going to copy this code, and then I'm going to paste it here. Next, we need to work on the login button and the we need to work on the registration button and also the login URL. So here we need to say register form, and then we have here this register btn. So I'm going to say here register btn, and the code is going to be similar to this. We can copy this code. And lastly we have the login. We have the login URL, which has an ID called login URL. So for the login URL, I'm just going to say register form login URL. And the code again is just this line of code. It's just the color. The color is orange. And we will be good to go. So let me save and let's see how this would look like. So as you can see, it looks extraordinarily amazing. And we have the design that looks just similar, if not exact, to the login. So the login, this is the login, and this is the registration. They are the same, and they just look amazing, and the elements aligned perfectly, especially the registration button. It's aligned perfectly with the inputs. Now what we need to do is that we need to work on the account page. So I'm going to create a new file called account. I'm going to here say, I'm going to create a new file called account.html. And in this account, we need to get a code that we already have from the login. So I'm going to get the complete code from the login because the code is going to be, the structure is going to be the same except for the content. So let me first save and let's go to the account page. So now I'm going to say here account.html and it's going to display the login page. So we need now to work on the account page. So first I'm going to remove here the content from the account page. So here from the account page we have this area that says here section. We need to actually remove pretty much everything. Let's remove everything and start over. So I'm going to remove everything. I'm just going to keep the section because we need the section. And here instead of login I'm going to say account. So we have the section, and the section will have the margin top and bottom 5 and padding top and bottom 5. Now inside this section we need a div as usual, and I'm going to give this div a class, and that class is going to be the container and a raw. I'm going to say raw, and I'm going to say container, and I'm going to also say container, and I'm going to also say margin auto, margin X auto, margin right and left auto. The reason why I said here raw is because I'm going to divide the page into two columns. The left column is going to display information about is going to display the account information of the user. On the right side I'm going to display a form that would allow the user to edit their email, to change their email. Therefore I said here raw. So inside that row we need two columns. So I'm going to create the first column. I'm going to say here dev, and then I'm going to give this dev a class. I'm going to say class, and then I'm going to say first I'm going to center the text. I'm going to say text center, and I'm going to give this dev margin top 3, and also margin and also padding top 5. And we need to specify the number of columns. So I'm going to divide the page into two equal columns. So I'm going to say column large 6 and column MD12 and column for small screens column SM12. So in case the screen is large, the page is going to be divided into two columns. In case the page is medium or small, there will only be one column. And then I'm going to display the here inside that div. I'm going to say account here. First I'm going to display HR, and then I'm going to display the, let me say here class MX auto, and then I'm going to display the H2 to display the account information. So above this H2, above this HR, I'm going to say H2 or H3, let's say H3, and I'm going to give this a class, and the class is going to be font weight bold, and I'm going to say here account info. Let me save and let me show you this in the browsers. Now we have here on the left side we have account info. So let's display here below this HR, let's display information. So below this HR I'm going to create another div. I'm going to say here dev, and I'm gonna here give this div a class called account info. And inside that div, I'm gonna display the name and the email and buttons. First, I'm gonna display a name. I'm gonna say here p name, and I'm gonna create a span here, span that displays the name. And below it, I'm gonna display the email. I'm gonna say here p, and then email, and then email here. So below the name and the email, I'm going to display two links here. I'm going to say p, and then I'm going to display a tag. And in this a tag, first I'm going to give it href, and I'm going to keep it empty for now, and I'm going to give it an ID. So the ID is going to be order button. So this order button. This order button is going to take the user to the order section. And I'm going to say here your orders. And below I'm going to display another p tag with a tag. So the second one so the second one would log the user out. I'm going to say log out. And let's also here give it href, an empty href, and the ID is just going to be log out button. Now let me save and let me show you how this would look like. So as you can see, we have the name, the email, the two buttons. Now we need to work on the right side area where I'm going to display a form that's going to allow the user to edit their email, their password. So below this div, but inside the row, we need to be inside this row, we need to create a div here, and we need to say class, and then we need to specify the number of columns that we want. So I'm gonna say column lar6, and column md12, and column sm12. And this is for this div. Inside this div, we need to display the form itself. So I'm going to say form, and for the form, I'm going to give it an ID. The ID would be account form. And inside the form, I'm going to say h3, and then I'm going to say change password. Below it, I'm going to just display the HR, and I'm going to say class mx auto. Below this, I'm going to display the inputs that we want. So we need two inputs, so I'm going to say dev, and then I'm going to give it a class. So the class is going to be just form group, and inside it we need a label and input. So for the label, I'm just going to say password. Below this label, we need an input. So I'm going to say input, and I'm going to say type password, and class form control, and we need an ID, and also we need a name. So the ID is just going to be form. The ID is just going to be account password, and I'm going to also say place folder password, and we need a name. I'm going to say name password, and finally required. Let me save and show you how this would look like. So as you can see, we have this form, but we need to fix the margins. So at the top, we actually have a problem because the form, when I work on the account form, I'm gonna fix this. I'm gonna fix this problem. But for now, let's continue. So I'm gonna just copy this div and then paste it below because we need to confirm the new password. So I'm gonna say here password. So here I'm gonna say confirm password, and then I'm gonna say here type password, and then form control account password confirm, and here password confirm password confirm password. So this is for the second input. Next, we need to display the button that's gonna change the password. So I'm gonna again say dev form class form group, and inside it we need input, and again we need the type is gonna be submit, type submit, and value change password, and we need ID and class btn ID change pass btn, and that's it. Let me save and let me show you this in the browser. So here we have two more inputs and we have a button. Let's work on the design. So for the design, I'm gonna head on over to CSS. So in the CSS, first here, CSS, and then in the CSS, we need to start with the account that we created. So we have, in the CSS, we have the account form. So here I'm going to say account So for the account, we first need to say account form. So for the account form, I'm going to change the width. So the width is going to be 50%, and the margin is going to be 35px auto, and text align center, and padding 20px. Let me save and let me check this in the browser. So as you can see, it looks now better. Let's also work on the inputs. So I'm going to say account form input. So for the inputs, we need just to change the margins. So the margin is just going to be 5px auto. And for the buttons, we have account form. We have the change password button. Change pass button. So for the change pass button, we just need to change the color and the background color. The color is just going to be white, and the background color would be orange. We need to keep the same brand colors. We shouldn't be using other colors because we need to focus on having a consistent website colors. So the next thing that I'm going to work on is the account form. We need to work on the orders button. I'm going to say orders button, and also the log out button. So for these two buttons, we just need to change the color itself. So the color is going to be the orange color, and the text decoration none. Let me save and let me show you how outstanding this is. So now we have the logout and we have the orders. So for the orders, we have a problem. Actually, we need to make sure that we have given this button orders, not orders. Now if I refresh, it's gonna say it's gonna fix it. It didn't fix it, so we still have a problem here. Orders btn, and here orders btn account form. So it's not it's inside the account info. So we need to say here account, not account form. We need to say account info. But the account info is actually a class, so we need to say dot account info, and this should fix it. So now we have the order, your orders, and we have the logout. And I think everything now is perfect. So we have now the account complete, and also the change password form. So now what we need to do is that we need to display the orders here below the account info and below the change password. So what I'm going to do is that in the cart we already have a code that we can use. So instead of creating the code from scratch, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to close this cart, and then I'm going to copy the cart, and then in the account I'm going to close this account, and then below it I'm going to paste the code. So let me paste it and let me close it, and then let me show you what I'm going to change. First I'm going to say here orders, and instead of saying here cart, I'm going to say orders. And we need to change many things. First of all, I'm going to remove here this column. I'm going to only display two columns. The first column is going to say product, and the second column is just going to display date. And here I'm going to say your orders. And we don't need all of these things. Instead, we just need, let me remove all of these. Starting from here, I'm just going to keep this td empty, and I'm going to keep another td empty. So I don't want to confuse you. Let me here create another td. So we need two tds. In the first td, I'm going to say here dev, and then I'm going to display the image. So I'm going to first give it a class. I'm going to say class, and then I'm going to say product info, and inside it I'm going to display the image. I'm going to say img, and then source assets images featured one, and below the image I'm going to also display here p with a class margin top 3, and I'm going to display the name of the product inside. And this is for the first TD. The second TD, I'm just going to display the date. So I'm going to say here span and any date you want. Let me save and let me head on over to the browser and show you how this would look like. So we have here orders, and we have the image, and we have the date. However, we need to work on the design. So let me go back and let me head on over to the cart, to the CSS. And in the CSS, I'm going to create a new section here. I'm going to add a new comment, and I'm going to say orders. And here, the first thing that we need to add for the orders is that we need to work on the orders itself, on the orders ID that we created. So I'm going to say here dot orders dot orders, and then table. We have the orders table. For the table, I'm going to say width 100%, and then the border collapse. Then we want to use this orders, and then we need to say product info. So for the product info, we need to change the display to be flex, and the wrap flex wrap, wrap. So this is going to fix the image. And then we need to say orders, th. So for the th, I'm going to first change the text align left, and the padding is going to be 5 top and bottom and 10 left and right. And for the color is going to be white, and the background color is orange. Background color orange. Let me show you how this would look like. So now in the browser, let me refresh, and as you can see, this is the bar. The color is white and the background is orange. Next, we want to say that orders td. So for the orders td, I want to change the padding, just the padding. So the padding is going to be 10 px top and bottom and 20 left and right. For the inputs, we here, let me check the cart. We don't have an input, so we remove the input. So there is no need for the input. Next, we need to fix the image. So the image, to fix the image, we need to say that orders td image. So for the image, we need to specify a width and height. So the width 80 px and height also 80 px, and margin right 10 px. Let me save and let me show you how this looks like. So as you can see, this is the account. So we need to remove actually many things. We need to remove this subtotal and we need to remove these two. So before I continue, let me I need to remove this subtotal. So for this subtotal, remember we have this table. We need to remove this table, and we need to remove the checkout button, and we need to remove this tr, and we need to remove also this tr, and we need to be left only with one tr. Let me save and let me show you that now we will have only one product. So now it looks amazing. The last thing that we need to work on is here we need to center this orders. We need to center it. So to center it, we can here first say for the HR first, I'm going to say class margin mx auto, and also the text here we need to say text align text center. This should center the text. So the text has been centered. Here it says your orders, and we have the orders, and everything now looks amazing. We just need to decrease the space. So to decrease the space, I'm gonna here change this from 5 to only 2, and this should decrease the space. So as you can see, the space now is smaller, but I think we need to decrease the space further. Actually, I need to decrease this and keep this 5. Let me keep this 5 and let me decrease only the margin top. So if I decrease the margin top will be much smaller, and we can decrease the y here. We can say py3. This will also have an effect on the space here. So as you can see, the space is smaller, and this date we can push it to the right more. So in the style CSS, so here you can say text align center or text align left. Let's say center. If I say center or right, actually instead of left we can say right. So I'm going to remove the left, and then I'm going to say center instead of left. Now it should be displayed on the in the middle. As you can see, it looks now better. Here it's in the middle, or you can say on the right side, and you can apply it only to one element. So instead of applying it to the two elements, we can say here left, But to the second, we can say that orders, and then nth child, th, nth child, nth child 2, and then text align right. Now it should fix this problem. So as you can see, now the product should be displayed on the far left side, whereas the date will be displayed on the far right side. And now it looks amazing. So this is the account page, where it has now 3 important elements: the account information, the change password functionality, and the orders that the user made earlier. Welcome back. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to work on the checkout page. So I'm going to create here a new page. I'm going to create here in this area, I'm going to create a new page called checkout.html. And then we need, as usual, we need the header and the footer and the basic code from the index. So I'm going to copy the code from here, and then I'm going to paste it in the checkout. And then I'm going to copy again the footer part, which is this. And then I'm going to paste it here. And then we need the navigation bar as well as the footer. So I'm going to copy the navigation bar first, which is this. And then I'm going to paste it in the checkout. And then I'm going to close it. And then I'm going to get again the footer. I'm going to get the footer. And then I'm going to paste it in the checkout. Now let's work on the checkout page. So the checkout page should contain a form that will let the user check out, fill out the information in order to place the order. So to do this, we need to create a form. So here I'm going to say checkout, and then we need to create a form. So instead of creating the form from scratch, we already have many forms. I'm going to get a form from the registration page. So from the registration page, remember we have this section. I'm going to close it, and then I'm going to copy it. I'm going to just copy it. And then I'm going to paste it in the checkout here below this checkout. But we need to fix many things. First, we need to change here this register to checkout. And we need also to here to change the ID from register to checkout form. And we need to change also the inputs. So the inputs that we need are the name, the city, the email, the phone number. So I'm going to start with the name. The name is going to be the same, but the ID is going to be here, is going to be checkout name. And the name is name, and here name. The second input that we need is the email. I'm going to say email, and then here checkout email. The third input that we need is the phone number, so I'm going to say phone. And the type is going to be number, or we can say tail actually. And the ID is going to be checkout phone. The name is phone, and the placeholder is phone. So this is for the phone number. The fourth input that we need is the city. So for the city, I'm going to say city, and then type is text, ID is city, checkout city, name is city, placeholder is city. Lastly, we need the address. So I'm going to copy the city, and then I'm going to paste it below. And then instead of city, I'm going to say address. And the type is text. The ID is checkout address. The name is address. The placeholder is also address. Lastly, we need the button. So the button is gonna be type submit, class btn, id checkout button, and the value checkout or placeholder, place order or checkout. And we don't need the last link. I'm gonna remove this last link. So what I'm gonna do is that we're gonna head on over to CSS, and in CSS I'm gonna do something amazing. I'm gonna create two classes. I'm gonna say here checkout first, and then I'm gonna create two classes. The first class I'm gonna name it checkout small element. And before I create the classes, let me add these classes to the checkout form. I'm gonna give the name here, this name. I'm gonna give it. I'm gonna give the dev itself, not the name, not the input, but the dev that contains the input. I'm gonna give it a class called checkout small element. And I'm gonna repeat the same thing for the email, checkout small element. Similarly for the font. For the city, I'm gonna do the same. I'm gonna say here checkout small element. Lastly, the address, I'm gonna give it another class called checkout large element. Large element. For the button, I'm gonna give the dev that contains the button a class called checkout btn container. And these are IDs, therefore let's work on them. And remember, the big ID that contains all of these is called checkout form. So we need to start with the ID, with this checkout form. So I'm going to say here checkout form, and then I'm going to start with the checkout small element class, this class. And be careful here, the checkout form is an ID, whereas the checkout small element is a class. So for the small element, for the checkout small element, first I'm going to change the display to be inline block, and the width is going to be only 48%. And below, I'm going to say here margin. I'm going to give them margins. The margin is going to be 10px auto. Let me now save and let me show you how this would do, what this would do to the form. So as you can see, the name and the email will be displayed in the same row, whereas the phone number and the city will be displayed in the same row. Now the address will be alone here, but we still need to work on the class for the address, which is the large checkout form dot checkout large element. So for the address, and I'm going to give it a width of only 95%, a little less than 100%. Lastly, I'm going to work on the checkout button and the button container. So let's start with the container. I'm going to say checkout form, and then dot checkout button container, checkout btn container. So for the checkout button container, I'm going to first give it a margin of 10px, all dimensions, and text align right, because I want to display the button, and instead of on the left side, on the right side. And I also want to give the button a margin right 40 px to push the button a little to the left side. And for the button itself, I'm going to say checkout form and then checkout button. By the way, this is an ID. So the color, as usual, I'm going to be using the brand colors. The color is white and the background color is orange. Let me save and let me test this in the browser. So we should have now a complete design. So as you can see now, it looks much better. So it looks amazing. The last thing that I want to do is that I want to cut this extra area from here. So here we have the checkout form. So here I have a problem. I should say here checkout form. This is gonna fix it. So if I refresh, the extra area should be removed. As you can see, it has been removed. Or you can increase this a little. So you can say 97%, and this is gonna make it equal to other inputs. So the address is gonna be equal to other almost equal to other inputs, and the design is responsive. Welcome back. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to create a new page called contact, the contact us page, which would just contain contact information. So I'm going to create a new file called contact.html, and the design is going to be very similar. We just need to display the contact information. So it's not gonna contain so many things. So we can just copy the code from the index as usual. This time I'm gonna copy the complete code and then I'm gonna paste it because I don't want to go back and forth so many times. And then I'm gonna delete what needs to be deleted. So I'm gonna start from the top and then I'm gonna go all the way down to the bottom. The navigation bar, we need the navigation bar. The home section, we don't need this home section. I'm going to remove the home section. The brand, we don't need, of course, this brand section. The new, we don't need this new section. The featured, we don't need the featured, and we don't need the banner either. I'm going to delete these two. The checkout and the watches, I'm going to delete these two as well. And shoes, we need to delete shoes, and we need to keep the footer. So in between the navigation bar and the footer, we just need to create a section that would display the contact information. So I'm going to create a new section here called contact, and it's going to be contact, and it's going to be a section. I'm going to say section, and I'm going to give it an ID. And also a class. So the class is, I'm going to give it the container, the bootstrap container class, as well as the my margin top bottom 5 and padding top bottom 5. And in this section, I'm going to display the contact information. But before I display the contact information, I'm going to display the contact us word above the contact information. So I'm going to first create a div, which is also going to have the container class as well as the text align center class, because I want to center the text center, and I'm going to give it margin top 5, and inside it I'm going to display here the contact us word inside h3. I'm going to say contact us, and below this contact us, I'm going to display the HR, separator, and I'm gonna give it the class mxauto. Below this hr, I'm gonna use the paragraph, and I'm gonna give this paragraph a class. That class would be w50, which is gonna display the content in half width, and I'm gonna give it margin right and left auto to center the paragraph. In the paragraph, I'm going to display the contact information. So you can display whatever you want, the way you want your customers to contact you. So you can display, for example, a phone number. It could be a phone number. It could be an email. It could be anything you want. And you can display below it. I'm going to just copy this, and in a new paragraph, I'm going to say email address. And then I'm going to display here text. I'm going to say whatever text you want to display. Let me save and let me head on over to the browser, and let me now head on over to the contact.html page. So in the contact page, as you can see now, it looks outstanding. We have the phone number, we have the email address, and we have this simple text. And it's preferably to display the phone number and the email in a different color, meaning that you can say here span, and then move the phone number over to this span here, inside this span. Similarly with the span here, similarly with the email, I'm gonna move the email, or I'm gonna type the email one more time, and I'm gonna remove this email. And in order to change the color in the CSS, I'm gonna open up the CSS, and in the CSS I'm just gonna say here contact, and then we have the contact ID. I'm gonna say contact, and then span. So the color, again the color, I'm gonna use the orange color because I want to keep the color. I just want to use the same brand color for all pages. We don't want to be inconsistent. So as you can see now, the contact information is being displayed in a different color, which is better. Also, the contact us this could be displayed in orange, but I think black is perfect. So this is the contact us page. Welcome back. Now what we need to do is that we need to activate the navigation buttons in all pages. Because if you go, for example, to the shop page, and if you click on contact us, it's not gonna work. And if you go to the home page and click on contact us, it's not gonna work either. So we need to activate the links. So in the index, in the navigation bar, for the home, it's gonna be index.html. For the shop, it's gonna be shop.html. For the blog, if you have a blog, you need to display the link that would take the user to your blog. Usually, the blog is hosted outside your website, outside the website. So you need to have a link for it. If you don't, you need to remove this link completely if you don't have a blog. But for now, I'm just gonna keep it here empty. For the contact us, we need to say contact.html. For the home, for this I, we can add here a tag, and then push, and then take this I and display it inside the a tag, and then we can give this a tag href and then account.html. And for the other icon, for the shopping icon, we need to take the user to the cart page. So I'm going to say here a tag, and then I'm going to say href is equal to cart.html, and then I'm going to copy the li and move it over to the a tag. So the I tag will be inside the a tag. Let me now save everything, and let's head on over to the browser to test. So now in the browser, let me refresh, and as you can see now we are in the home page. If I click on Contact Us, it's going to take us to the Contact Us page. If I go back to the home page, and if I click on Shop, it's going to take me to the Shop page. And again, for the blog, you need to have an external link for the blog. Here for this icon, if I click on it, it's going to take me to the cart page. For this icon, it should take me to the account page. And the home, it's going to take me to the home page. So in order to fix the links in other pages, for example, in the Contact Us, you just need to copy. Now all you need to do is that you need to close this navigation bar and copy it, and then replace it here. Instead of this, you can remove now this old navigation bar and paste the new one here in the Contact Us page, and you need to repeat the same thing with all pages so that the navigation bar links would work in all pages. Welcome back. Now it's time to create the database. And in order to create the database, the first step is that you need to make sure that your Apache web server as well as your MySQL database both running. Make sure that they are up and running. And then you need to head on over to the browser, and then you need to type localhost/dashboard. And this is going to take you to the Apache web server, and you will be able to create a database. After you go to this address, localhost/dashboard, you can click on phpMyAdmin. And here you can create a database. Let's create a database. In order to create a database, you need to click on New here on the left upper side of the website. So here I'm going to click on New, and this is going to allow you to type the name of the database. So here I'm going to type the name of the database. I'm going to name it PHP project. So here I'm going to say php_project, and then I'm going to click on create. After you click on create, you will find that on the left side a database has been created, and its name is php_project. So make sure that it has been created, and if you click on it, it will just here display no tables found in this database, because there are no tables, but the database has been created. So now what we need to do is that we need to connect to the database. And in order to connect to the database, we need to create a file that's going to connect us to the database. So here I'm going to create a new folder, and I'm going to name it server. And in this file, I'm going to add any code that has any relationship with the server. Any code that connects to the server or gets data from the server or inserts data into the server is going to be here. So in this file, I'm going to create in this folder, I'm going to create a new file called config or connection. Let's say connection.php. So this connection will connect to the database. So first I'm going to add here the PHP code here, and then here, in order to connect to the database, we need to call a function called mysqli underscore connect. And this function takes 4 parameters. The first parameter is the host name. The host name is local server, localhost for because I'm currently using the local host. The second parameter is the username. So the username, in order to get the username, you need to get to the database, and I have already explained this. So the username in your database, if you click on user accounts, you should find so many accounts. So the account that I'm going to be using, since I'm using the localhost, I'm going to be using this one, root localhost, and the password is no. There is no password, and the global privileges is all privileges. So again, the username is root and the password is nothing. So the second parameter is the username. The username is root, and the third parameter is the password. So the password is nothing. So we need to pass here nothing. We need to pass empty quotes. The last parameter is the database name. So the database name, remember the database name is php underscore project, this database, php underscore project. Therefore, I'm going to pass here php underscore project. And I'm going to store this in a variable called con. Con is going to be equal to this. And instead of adding semicolon at the end, I'm going to say here or die. So what this is going to do is that it's going to attempt to connect to the database. Otherwise, it's just going to kill the connection. If we couldn't connect for some reason, any code that goes below this is never going to be executed. So I'm going to say here couldn't connect to database. Pretty simple. So that's it. In order to connect the database, we just need this line of code, and then we can use this file in any other file that needs connection to the database. Lastly, we need just to click on File and then Save All. Welcome back. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to add the tables that we need to the database. So remember the database that I created, which is PHP project, php underscore project. So in order to create the tables, you have two options. The first option is to type the name of the table, and then manually you need to type the name of columns and specify all of these things manually, or you can use SQL. So I have here this code that will allow me to create these tables quickly without the need of typing everything. So for example, I have here the products table, which will have the product ID, the product name, the category, etc. We have also orders, order items, users, all of these things. So instead of typing all of these and creating all of these tables manually, I'm gonna copy this this code, and then I'm gonna paste it in the SQL. You need to select first your database, this database, PHP project, and then click on SQL, and then you need to paste the code here. You need to paste that code here, and then click on Go, and this is going to insert these tables. Now, if you click on PHP project, you should find that we have here 4 tables. Let's examine one of them. So I'm going to examine the products. So as you can see, the products table has ID, name, category, description, etc. So this is how you can create a table quickly by using SQL. So now what we need to do is that we need to get these products from the database and display these products here we need to get them from the database and display them here. And in order to do that, we need to connect to the database and get these products. So here as well, we need to get these products. Here as well, we need to get these products. And to do all of this, the first step is that first you need to make sure that your Apache server is up and running and your database, MySQL database, is up and running. The next step is that we need to convert the index into PHP. So I'm going to rename this file, and this file is no longer going to be index.html. It's going to be index.php. And we no longer can run this file like this. We cannot just open it in the browser like this. Instead, we should, from now on, we need to click on View and then Terminal, and then we need to run the server, because PHP runs only on the server. So we need to say here php minus capital S, and then local host, and then colon 8000. So you need to type this command. You need to type this command in the directory of your project. And I'm using here, as you can see, I'm using the terminal that comes with the Visual Studio Code. If you chose to use another terminal, you need to make sure that you are pointing to your project folder. You need to make sure that you are in your project folder. And then here type php minus s minus capital S, and then localhost colon 8000, and then hit enter. This is going to start a server, and here it says development server, this server started. Now we can copy this line, this URL, localhost colon 8000, and then in the browser, let me close this. We no longer can open this. I'm gonna close this, and then here I'm gonna paste the URL, which is http and then colon / localhost colon 8000. Now if I hit enter, guess what? I'm gonna get the same exact code. But the difference is that now I'm using PHP. Now we are working with the server. So now we are good to go. So this is a very important step that you need to do, which is running your server and going to the server in order to make sure that your server is up and running. And also make sure that you have converted your index.html to index.php. Welcome back. Now what we need to do is that we need to fill the products table with some data, with some products. However, it's gonna take time. If you want to fill that manually using the insert, you can here click on insert, and then you can manually insert the products. However, this is gonna take time, so I'm gonna be using SQL. And I have this command. I'm gonna paste it, and I'm gonna walk you through this command. So this command is gonna insert a product into the products table, and what's gonna insert is that's gonna insert the product name, category, description, image, image 2, image 3, image 4, price, special offer, and color. So the first thing that we need to specify is the name of the product. Here, I'm adding here white shoes. The second thing that we need to fill is the category. The category is shoes. The third is the description. Here I said awesome white shoes. And then the fourth column is product image. So the product image is very important. You need to type the name of the image that you have in your project. So if you have an image that you have added in your project called featured one, for example, that JPEG, you need to name that image here. You need to pass that image here whenever you are adding a new product. The product image 2 and 3 and 4 are different images that belong to the same product. So for example, if you want to take different images for the same product from other sides to show the user all sides of the product, you can here specify these. But for the sake of simplicity, I'm going to just pass the same exact image for image 2, 3, and 4. And then we have the product price. The price is here 155. And then the product special offer. The special offer is going to be a number. So if 0, it means that this product is not, there is no sale on this product and there is no special offer. So 0, it means nothing. If you want, for example, 30% discount, you can here say 30. But I'm going to say 0 because there is no special offer. The last column is color. So the color is white. And then you can just click on go, and this is going to insert the first product. Now if I click on PHP project, and now if I go to the products table, I should find one product. As you can see, I have now one product, white shoes. And you can repeat the same thing. You just need to click on SQL and then type the same exact command, but you need to change data. You need to change, of course, the product name, category, description, image, price, special offer, and color. And again, the image is important. You need to make sure that you have this image in your project, and you need to make sure that the image here matches the name of the image that you have in your project. And as for the ID the ID of the product will be given automatically. So for example here, if you insert a new product into the products table, you'll find that the ID will increase automatically by the database. So don't worry about the ID. The ID will be given to each product you insert automatically, which is awesome because you don't have to worry about the product ID. And the product ID, of course, is very important because the product ID is the only thing that is unique. Because you could have two products that have the same name, but the ID must be different. So now what we need to do is that we need to connect to the database and get these products. And to do that, we need to create a new file here in the server. I'm going to click on the server and then I'm going to create a new file called get featured products.php. And then this get featured products must connect to the database. Therefore, we need to say php, and then we need to say here include, and then we need to include the connection.php. And now we need to create an HTML, we need to create an HTTP query or SQL query that's going to connect to the database and get these products. And to do this, I'm going to here say con because now we included this connection, and this connection has a variable called con, which connects to the database. So here I said con, and then I'm going to call a function called prepare, and then here goes our SQL query. So here what I'm going to pass is that I'm going to say select because we need to get select all, we need to get all from products, and here we need to say semicolon. So this is going to get all the products, but we need to get only 4 products. We need to get here 4 products. Therefore, I'm going to say limit 4. We need only 4 products. And then I'm going to store this in a variable called stmt, statement. And then I'm going to say here statement, and then we don't need to pass anything. So all we need to do is to execute this query. So to execute this query, we need to say stmt and then execute and then semicolon. And then finally, we need to return this to the caller or store it in a variable. So I'm going to store this in a variable after saying here stmt and then get result. And then I'm going to store the variable in I'm going to store the result in a variable called featured underscore products. So this is the featured products. And we can use this in the index. So let me click on file and then save all. Now we need to include this get featured. By the way, I have here a spelling mistake. Let me rename this file get featured products. So make sure that you don't have any typos or spelling mistakes. Again here, featured products. Now we can include the get featured products in the index and get these products. But we need to find where the featured products are. So the featured products are here. And if I open this, you'll find that we have here 4 products hard-coded, and we don't want that. Instead, we need to remove all products and keep only one code, and then we can repeat that using a loop. This is where the power of PHP comes in. The power of PHP is that you don't have to repeat your code. You can type the code once and repeat it using a loop. Let me show you what I'm gonna do. So we need to find where is the first product. So the first product is this, and it ends, I think this is the end. So this is the first product. Therefore, we need to delete other products. So I'm gonna delete this second product. This is the second product. Let me remove it. Let me remove the third product, which is this. Let me remove also the last product. And you need to be very, very careful while removing. You wouldn't want to remove something you need. And here, let me add space. Here. This is the product. Let me save and let me make sure that I didn't break my code. So let me here refresh and show you that now we should have only one block. We have only one product. Now we can use PHP to repeat the product, because this get featured products will return the products, will return all of the products from the database. So to get all of the products, we need here to say PHP, we need to open a PHP tag, and then we need to include, and what we want to include is that we need to include the featured. So the get featured products is inside a file called server, and then / get featured products. So this is going to import this file. Now this file has a variable called featured products, and this featured products is an array. This is an array. So we can loop over this array here. Here I'm going to open a PHP tag, and then I'm going to say here, I'm going to close it first, and then I'm going to say while raw is equal to get featured products. Featured products. And then we need to call a function called fetch a source. And then we need to open a curly bracket. Just open, don't close it, just open it. And then at the end we need to close it. We need here to say PHP, and then we need to close it. Close the curly bracket. In between, we need now to display the products. So instead of displaying the hard-coded code here, text, we can remove this now, and then we can here say PHP, and then PHP, and then in between we can say echo, and then echo what? Echo raw, and then semicolon, and the name of the column that contains the name of the product. So the name of the column is products, product name. Remember, product name, product category, description, image. So we need to say product underscore name. For the price, we need to say here, we need to keep the $sign, and then we need to say PHP, and then PHP, and then echo raw product price. And for the image here, the image, we need to say here / PHP echo raw product image, and then semicolon, and that's it. So we have the product. Let me make sure that we have everything. We have the image, the name, and the price. So let me now save, and let me make sure that I don't have anything wrong. Let me now test. So let me here refresh, and as you can see, I'm gonna get the same exact products here, but the difference is now I got the products from the database. I'm not getting the products from hard-coded text. I'm getting the products from the database by using this loop. As you can see how powerful this is, because I'm just using a loop, and that loop will keep displaying the new products over and over and over again without the need of typing these things. So as you can see now, we have these products being displayed here. So now what we need to do is that we need to work on this section. So this section has these codes, and we need to get the codes from the database. So in order to get the codes, we need to create a new file here in the server called get_codes.php. And the code is going to be similar to the featured products, but there will be something different and important as well. So the difference is that here we need to select all from products, limit 4. However, we need to say here where, and then we need to add a condition. So we don't want to get all products, we need to get only codes. So we need to say where category is equal to codes. So we need to say category is equal to codes. This is very important. And we are good to go. That's it. We need to limit to 4. Limit to 4 because we have only here 4. We can only display here 4. And finally, we need to say here codes products. Codes. That's it. Very, very simple. Now in the index, we need to look for the clothes. I think the clothes has the codes. So we have the dresses and codes. We need to do the same as we did with the featured products. We need to remove all products and keep only one. So what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna keep this product and remove the other 4, the other 3. So I'm gonna remove this and this and this. So we should have now only one product. So I'm gonna add here space. I'm gonna add here space to show you that this is the product. Let me save. And let me make sure that my code is not broken. So my code is fine. So we have only one product. Now we need to include here, we need to say PHP and then include, and we need to include, what do we need to include? We need to include the server / get codes. And we need to do the same. We need to add a loop here, PHP, and then while only open the curly bracket, and then here you need to close the curly bracket at the bottom, PHP, and then curly bracket, while raw is equal to the, remember the name of the variable is codes products. Codes products. And then I'm going to call a function called fetch a source. That's it. Now we need to replace this with the image first. I'm going to say here PHP and then echo, and we need to echo the raw product image, product underscore image, and then semicolon. For the name we need to say PHP again, and then echo raw product name, price, PHP echo product price. That's it. Pretty simple. Let me save and let me refresh and show you how this is gonna look like. By the way, I will get nothing, and I'm gonna explain why I'm gonna get nothing. Let me refresh, and if I get nothing, as you can see, I got nothing. Even I got an error. I have here an error on line 8. Here it says uncaught error, call to member boolean on. Yes, this error is because I got nothing. Why did I get nothing? Because I don't have any quotes in the database. I'm telling my database, hey, my database, I want you to return me all quotes from the database. But I don't have any quotes in the database. And I did this intentionally to show you how to add a product if you don't have a product and you want to get it. So we need to add here a product. So I'm going to click on SQL, and then I'm going to, let's use the insert this time because I have already used SQL. Let me here say insert. So the product ID is nothing because as I told you, the product ID will be given by the database. The product name, I'm going to say here, the black coat. Category coats, because we said here return coats. So the category here must be coats. Product description, black coat for men, let's say. Product image, the first coat had an image called clothes1.jpg. Again, this must clothes 1. Again, this must match the name of the image that you have in your project. The image 2 is just going to be clothes. Let me make sure that I have the image. So the image is in the assets, images, clothes 1. Clothes 1. So the image 2 is going to be clothes 1, 3 clothes 1 because I don't have other images. And the price is, let's say, 150. The special offer is nothing, 0. The product color, I'm going to say black. And then I'm going to click on go. This should insert a new product. So now I'm going to get, as you can see, row inserted. Let me now refresh. And the error I think the error should be gone, but we still have this error. And the reason for this error is because here I said where category, I should actually say where product underscore category, because remember the column, it's very important to double check, because usually you will make a mistake like this. So the column was not category. The column was product underscore category. So here it must be product underscore category. Category is equal to quotes. So the spelling is very important. If you get this wrong, it's not gonna work. Let me click on file and then save all, and let's make sure that it works. So as you can see now, it's gonna return the product from the database. So it works successfully. And since we only have one code, it's going to return one code. Let me prove that to you. So if I insert another code quickly, let me insert one quickly here. I'm going to say blue code. And then here I'm going to say codes. And then here I'm going to say blue code. And here I'm going to say image clothes 2. And lastly clothes 2, and here clothes 2, and the price is 200. Special offer, nothing. And then I'm going to click on go, and this is going to insert a new product. So we have a new product. Let me now refresh and prove that to you. So if I refresh, we should get here a new product. So it works successfully. So this is how it works. This is how we can get products and insert products into the database, and make sure again pay attention to these small mistakes that you could make, such as here product underscore category, and the name of the image. The name of the image is critical, otherwise you are not going to get the image.